What's good, everybody? Chris here again. Chris Goes Outdoors. Today we're going to talk about trekking poles, and specifically the pairs of trekking poles that I have used throughout my hiking experience, and just kind of what I think about them, what they are, what they do, and anything I can really think of trekking pole related. I wanted to make the video for a while, but you know, been busy out there hiking the trails, so had the weekend off, so to speak. Was planning to hike, but came down with a little bit of a cold, so decided to hang around town a little bit, but still wanted to make a video. And I've been meaning to make this one for a while, because people ask me a lot about trekking poles and the ones I've used. So we're going to talk about essentially anything I can think of, really, and the poles that I've used. And right off the bat, we're going to talk about these guys right here. So this is the first pair of trekking poles that I used, and this is the Cascade Mountain Tech carbon fiber flip lock trekking pole. I'm not going to tell you that I didn't have to edit this because it took me about 10 tries to say that full name, but these were the first ones I used, and these are probably one of the most highly suggested pair of trekking poles for beginners that I see. So in the US, you can pick these up on Amazon, usually around maybe $40-ish, $45. And they're also available at Costco for cheaper too. I believe $30, $35 at Costco's. Usually around, you know, the spring, summertime is when they start selling these. I have heard during kind of the off hiking season that they do not continue selling them. And they're pretty cool poles all in all. They have the foam grip on these ones. You can get them in Cork handle. Talk about that in a minute. This right here, the little strap that you can put your hand into, is adjustable. There's a little plastic piece in there that you can pull out and then adjust the strap to the preferred length. I do not particularly care too much about this adjustment system. In my experience, it tends to slip a lot. So like, you'll put your hand in there, and if you use it going uphill or something, it tends to pull the strap back and it just doesn't hold too well. And if it does hold too well, you'll have a terrible time getting it back out. And right here, you can see it also has this extended grip. So this is also helpful from my experience in going uphill on a trail. So say you're kind of hunched over, you're feeling it, you know, you're breathing in heavy and you just need to get up the hill. You can kind of grab onto this and just kind of, you know, force your way up the hill a little bit. So, and it's supposedly carbon fiber. I would assume it is. I have no real way of testing that, but the pole length is adjustable right here. So they got this little screw system right here and the flip lock right here. And I much prefer a flip lock pole. In my experience, I've tried very briefly, like from other people having them. Twist lock poles, I just don't trust them personally. The flip lock is just like, it seems so much more secure. So I stick with flip lock personally. Your results may vary. And you can change the height based on centimeters or inches right there. And for this one, the flip lock, you can adjust the tension on the actual flip lock right here. And from what I have read, and again, my experience, you want it to be just tight enough. So you can see right there, the flip lock goes in way too easy. It's too loose. So give it a little quarter turn, still a little bit loose. Another quarter turn. You can see there's resistance there now. So good to go. That right there is not going to move. If you over tension them and try to tighten them, I've heard that you can like snap the internal portion that keeps them from moving. So you definitely don't want to, you know, overturn or over tighten this little flip lock here. And then right here, we got the end of this one. Same thing, flip lock right there, good to go. And you can also see here, I hope anyway, we got the little carbide, whatever tip there. There's this little plastic piece right here too. These poles also came with rubber feet for the tips, which I have never used. I don't foresee myself ever using them either. From what I read, they're supposedly good if you're like road walking or something and you just want some assistance on the pavement. Not something I would need hiking out on the trail, but they also came with baskets similar to this, which right there just help when you're walking, say on a dirty or muddy trail, helps the poles from sinking into the ground. So if I were walking on a muddy trail and I just stick this into the ground, it's more than likely going to go straight into the ground. Those little baskets help to keep them above the ground. It gives it a little more resilience against pushing into the dirt. And they also came with a pair of snow baskets as well. So similar to the ones I just showed you, but They're a little more round, a little larger in diameter as well, and they typically have like little holes and stuff placed throughout them. And this is just to give you an even better, you know, grip from them sinking if you're hiking in the snow. And from my experience, they do work pretty well. So these are the first pair that I bought, and for the price, I still suggest these poles to 99% of people. It's tough to find a cheaper pair of decent trekking poles, and these I would say are definitely decent. I did unfortunately break one of these up in the White Mountains. I hike in the White Mountains usually, and for those who do not know, the White Mountains we'll call it rustic. It's a rustic trail, so a lot of rocks, a lot of big rocks. And what was happening, I was walking down the trail, and it was this piece down here that actually broke. So say I had the poles fully extended. I was walking down the trail, and this piece right here slipped far down in between two rocks. And as I was walking, I'm usually pretty quick with it, so I pulled up thinking that I pulled the pole all the way up as I kept walking, and I kind of like jumped down to like a little step, and I didn't clear both the rocks, and I heard it and I felt it too. It just snapped the piece right here. It didn't break completely, but it shattered a huge line right down the thing. I put it on the ground, the thing just split. So unfortunately, I did break the first pair of these that I owned. And at the time, I was unaware that you can actually buy spare pieces to these trekking poles on the Cascade Mountain Tech website. So not knowing that I could buy the replacement parts, I ended up just buying another pair of these. And this time, instead of the foam grip, I ended up getting the cork grip. And I have one I'll show you here. I'll talk about these ones in a minute, but this is just an example of cork grip. The main difference between the grips, this is all my experience, is that this one, it's a little softer and a little bit more cushiony in my experience. However, if you sweat a lot, I feel like the cork grips are where it's at. The cork just seems to absorb the sweat better, and even when you are sweating, the grip is still there. It's completely user preference. You know what, if someone gave me either one of these poles, my preference leans toward the cork, but that's because I have absolute clam hands. It's absolutely disgusting. If handshaking is terrible for you, go with cork grips. If not, you'll probably be all right with the foam. In all honesty, you're probably gonna be fine either way. It doesn't really matter, but my preference definitely leans toward these. So after I broke one of these, I ended up picking up the cork grip version, and I used them on the Appalachian Trail. So they worked really, really well. I hiked with them up until Tennessee, and they were working very, very well. I had no complaints about them. They were holding up perfectly, So I remember it was our first over 20-mile day. I think it was 21 miles, just over, that we did that day. We were coming down to Tennessee by Uncle Johnny's hostel. Was that Irwin, I believe? 21 miles, I was probably at 20 and a half. And I was walking along all cheery. Just kidding, I wasn't cheery. After a certain mileage, I did find myself getting a little agitated at really stupid things. And your feet tend to get clumsy, so you start tripping on roots and stuff, just really stupid mistakes that can get a little irritating. So I was walking along, and we were getting there, I was almost there, and I kind of rolled my ankle a little bit after tripping on a bunch of roots like the previous 2 minutes before. And I just got really angry, and I took the pole. It was fully extended, you know, I was using it. I took the pole and I just lost it. And I smashed that thing against a tree. I don't think I need to tell you, but carbon fiber does not do that good when you smash it at full strength like a baseball bat against a tree. I kept saying, joking, that I was going to find the bottom of that pole when I got to Mount Katahdin. I swung the thing that hard, and I couldn't find it. I looked in the woods for a good like 10 minutes after the fact, could never find the bottom of this pole. I kept saying it was going to be on top when I got to the summit. Alas, it was not, but I did break the set of poles, at least one of them, so I had one available to me, but where my tent needed 2 trekking poles and I didn't want to be a burden to other people, like, hey, give me your pole, I ended up buying a different pair of poles for the trail. For what it's worth, I know people that used a single pair of these along the entire Appalachian Trail and they lasted without issue. I don't even think they replaced the tips. They do wear down over time. I'll talk about that with the poles I used on my through hike after the fact. But on those poles, this metal part right here wore down completely. I was on plastic before I ended up replacing the tips. But overall, for the money, I think these are a great buy for people, especially if you're not sure if trekking poles are for you. So I used 2 for the longest time. I use 1 now, but I definitely think that these are a pretty good buy either way. So after I broke them, I was at Uncle Johnny's hostel. They have a little outfitter like within the hostel, and they had essentially 2 pairs of poles. They had these right here, which are the Leki Journey trekking poles, or they had the really high-end, like super high-end Leki, the carbon fiber ones. They're almost $200. So these ones were $80, and they're also aluminum, so they are definitely heavier. I believe the Cascade Mountain Tech ones, I want to say 9 ounces. I'll put the weight up here or somewhere in the video for the Cascade Mountain Tech ones, but these ones are definitely heavier, like substantially heavier, and they feel more solid. That could all be mental, but one of the things I look for in a trekking pole is when I have it set to a specific height, I always jam it into the ground, all right? And with that, you'll see some trekking poles will stay super straight. They won't move. This one's got a little bit of give to it, but not much. The Cascade Mountain Tech, it jiggles extensively, but these ones feel substantially more sturdy in my opinion. And they also have the little baskets here for the dirt. I can't remember if it came with the snow ones when I got them. It may have, but I couldn't tell you if I'm being honest. If they did, I literally threw them away because I couldn't use them out on the AT. What I like about these right here, I love, absolutely love Leki's strap adjustment system and their straps. The straps on these are super, super comfortable, like very lightweight, but it's a very thin fabric. Compared to the ones on here, if I use these poles, I don't even use the straps anymore because I think this system of adjusting them is terrible, and the actual straps themselves are moderately comfortable. The actual webbing here is pretty rough. They do try to pad it right here, and it works so-so, we'll say. But the adjustment here, super easy. You just take this, lift up, and right there you can slide the strap to the length desired. It's got little teeth in there, and it just snaps back down, stays cinched up. I did experience the strap slipping a little bit here and there, but where it's so easy to just retension it and snap it back down, and this being one of their like low-end poles, I would say it worked really, really well. The other thing I liked about this too, the grip on these is perfect, like perfect for your hand. And this little nub here too, it's also pretty nice, like for going uphill, you can kind of rest your hand on it. Now, with that said, there is no extension here either. So if you're trying to drive uphill, you still got to grab onto the top here. So, but really, really comfortable grip on these. And also, a lot of times I found myself, if going downhill, like substantial downhills, I find myself grabbing the top of the pole here a lot, like this. So palming it and then grabbing around like that. And this is the perfect grip for me. Like these poles, the grips, I feel like they were literally made for my hands. The Cascade Mountain Tech one is also pretty good too. So not bad. I would say I do favor this one slightly more, but this one too feels really good in the hand, especially if you're going down like that. And the actual grip itself is pretty good too. I do like the kind of more substantial cut of the Leki one here. Like, feels like it just fits in your hand better. So, and again, poles themselves are aluminum. These are $80 poles. I believe that they're Leki's kind of beginner poles. The plus about Leki is they have a lifetime warranty on these. So note that I was using these literally like essentially 7 days a week for 4 months, 5 months, about 5 months. So, and I did have a couple failures. So the first failures that I started to experience were with the locks. It's a very similar system to the ones on the Cascade. You can tension it as you need here and then just lock as needed. These were getting to a point in say like 3.5 months where I was having a lot of trouble. Even if I untensioned the thing like completely, I could not get the pole to collapse at all. So one of them was like completely stuck at the setting I had it, which was usually 125 centimeters on both ends. But the other one, luckily, I could get to go down on this part and shrink it down enough to fit on the back side of my tent. So that was the first major issue. The other issue too, as you go on the trail, like I said previously, these little nubs right here that grip the terrain get worn down, they break, leaving you with just plastic, which does not grip very well at all. So they did need to be replaced, and I got them replaced fairly easy once I found a Leki outfitter. One of the other issues I had, this part right here where it connects, this is glued in, and usually that's okay, but again, if you're using them for days on end, for months, the glue actually came undone. So I think it was this end for sure. So this end right here came undone, and luckily I found some glue at like a Dollar General. I piped in the glue there, put it all back together. And when I went to get the tips replaced, the tips are not under warranty, you do have to pay to get them replaced. I stopped at an outfitter. They replaced the tips for me, and he noticed the tips I think were 10 bucks and he put them on for free. So luckily he did, because he was pretty skilled with it. He did it in like 2 seconds. Took a little razor blade, cut this off, and literally just flicked them off and popped the new ones on. Was like, jam them into the ground, you'll be good to go. So he noticed the glue around this part right here and asked me if I was having an issue with it. Told him, yeah, I had to re-glue it completely. He was like, oh, I'll put a new one on there for you. I was like, oh, like how much would that be? He was like, no, it's free. What? Leki, it's lifetime warranty. So he literally had a box of Leki pole parts, and he took it out. The only difference was the one on the trail that he replaced it with. He didn't have one with the white. It had an orange flip lock. I was like, I don't care, yeah, awesome. So replaced the whole thing, this whole section right here, free of charge. And I use these all the way up until the 100-mile wilderness, and they did excellent until the 100-mile wilderness. So one of them, I was just hiking along the trail. I was going downhill, and I don't know exactly what happened, but I was just walking down, went like this, and I don't know if there was a rock underneath or something like in the soil, but it just like, it sounded like an explosion. The thing was just like, and this piece right here just snapped completely. So the pole just completely broke right in the middle. No saving it, no saving it at all. So I literally just bashed the thing down, because these were, again, were stuck. Bashed the thing down and just kept it in my bag until the end of the trail. They were literally in my backpack as I summited Katahdin. If you look at some of the pictures, you'll be able to see them hanging out of my backpack. The second one I actually broke on Mount Katahdin as we were coming down the knife's edge. Went like this, went down, and I don't know again if it was like a weird angle or something, or maybe they were just giving up. It wasn't totally broken, but this part right here bent substantially. I was able to collapse it to get it back in the thing, but it bent so bad. So when I got home, I ended up contacting Leki's customer service, told them, you know, what happened, sent them pictures, and they said, well, if you don't mind sending them back, we'll take a look, and if it's good, we'll send you a new pair. So I was like, all right, well, they did break, like they shattered. I didn't know why they'd want it, you know, in that condition. Got a response that they would ship me out a brand new pair. So this is what you see here. They literally sent me a brand new pair of poles. As far as customer service goes, I do not think that you will beat Leki. I genuinely don't. They sent me out this new pair. It did take a little while. For what it's worth, when I sent the email too, I don't believe I actually included the whole Chris Goes Outdoors address. I think I sent it from my personal email. So I believe that they would offer this warranty service to others as well. I've heard nothing but good things about Leki's warranty service. These poles are still good. Anna, my girlfriend, actually uses these most of the time now, as I mess around with some other options. But overall, I don't have many bad things to say about these. You know, with that warranty service and everything, they worked pretty well for me on the AT. After the AT, I switched it up a little bit because I saw these poles out there. I saw them often. So these right here are the Black Diamond Alpine Carbon Cork trekking poles, and these things they're pretty expensive in the grand scheme of things. I believe a new pair of these with no discounts at all will cost you around $180, which I think is a little steep, but I mean, whatever. Depends on how long they last, I suppose. I ended up paying $90 for these of my own money. This was not a discount given to me by Black Diamond or anything. Not gonna explain how I finagled it, but these poles are pretty solid. So these are carbon fiber as well. And as far as sturdiness goes, this is hands down the most sturdy trekking pole I've ever used. If you put this in the ground, this does not move at all. Like, no movement. The others, the Leki, a little movement. The Cascade Mountain Tech carbon fiber, definite movement. This thing does not move. So this is extremely, extremely sturdy. And the strap system too, it is very heavily padded. I do find it fairly uncomfortable though. And the adjustment system on this one, fairly similar to the Cascade Mountain Tech one. This one is a little more substantial as far as staying goes though. So like once you adjust it, it stays in pretty good. And the plastic piece in there is easier to get in and out. So they have the Cork handles, which is pretty nice. It's got a decent grip on it for sure. I do not particularly think the palming, I do not find that very comfortable at all on these. Your hands, fingers just kind of end up in a weird location. It does have the foam here though. You can, you know, really dig in with that. I do usually put some duct tape on my poles just for emergency situations and stuff. I usually use it as band-aids because real healthy. And again, centimeter markings all along here, and you can actually see the centimeter line right there. So these closures right here, I don't quite understand the space age technology behind them, but they are all like pre-tensioned and you don't need to adjust the tension, and they just flip and work. And it's like substantial too, like they feel substantial. And I have never had an issue with them slipping. So these ones are the 100 centimeter to 130 centimeter. I do think they make a taller version of these, and I kind of wish I got it because this is a little too short of a pole to use with some tents. So if you have something like a mid and you are only using one of these, like I only use one trekking pole really now, for the mid, the dual mid from Mountain Laurel Designs, even with the pole extender, this pole is not long enough, even stretched to its max, you know, max length. And this one right here, you can see the black diamond. It does come with baskets as well. They are a little bit shorter and smaller than the other ones, but I have found that they work just as well. And I kind of prefer this smaller one because when you're putting it in the ground, it's actually, it's easier to see because like it doesn't block out, you know, rocks or sticks underneath it. So having it a little bit smaller like this, I didn't think I would like, but I actually have grown to prefer. And I'm pretty sure that this one too came with the rubber feet or the snow baskets. I'm not positive. I'll try to look for it and post it somewhere in the video. And I have been using these since I got back from the Appalachian Trail. In general, these things are solid. These are really, really nice trekking poles. They are for sure. I understand why so many people use them. They definitely show some signs of use, you know, some dings and stuff from hitting rocks, and that's gonna happen. Again, I do wish, I'm pretty sure they offer them in a longer length, and I wish that I got them in that longer length. But either way, still use them, still like them. And yeah, the only thing I really wish they change is like this right here. I feel like the grip on here is just really weird. And I find myself, the more I use trekking poles, I don't even use the straps anymore. So I should probably just chop them off. A lot of people, I feel like, use them for leverage. You know, going uphill, can put kind of your wrist into things. Nah, I don't know. I don't really use it that much. Would I pay 180 or whatever dollars they are new? No. Am I happy for the $90 I paid for them? Absolutely. These things are phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal for what they are. Especially at that price. So sturdy, super sturdy. And then last but not least, and I will preface this by saying this is another Cascade Mountain Tech pole, and they did send this to me free of charge recently. I guess they saw the video I made initially of the first ones, and we're like, hey, you want to test out these new ones? So you can see here, it's a very similar pole. This one does have the Cork grip, but the main difference is the carbon fiber that they use on these. So the carbon fiber on the other ones is like a straight carbon fiber. This one right here is a woven carbon fiber, and supposedly, and this is what they were telling me, I don't know if it's true, but this type of carbon fiber and the weave pattern will help substantially in cases like that snapping issue that I had with the first pair. It gives it much more durability, supposedly. But it's essentially the exact same pole otherwise. The flip blocks right here all apparently seem the same. I was told by someone on the internet that they replaced a piece inside, so it's actual like a metal piece inside that kind of keeps the thing from slipping now. I don't know if that's the truth. Maybe I can pop it out and see inside here. yeah, there does appear to be something metal in there. So I don't know if that is the case, like if that's the biggest change between the little carbon fiber and it being woven carbon fiber now. But this one again comes with the baskets, comes with the little feet for the end here. It comes with snow baskets as well as a little carrying case. The carrying case I will never use. The feet I will never use, but I have used these on 2 hikes so far and they've been good. No real complaints. They're very similar to the previous ones, except they supposedly have a little added durability. Cork handle's good. The strap, unfortunately, is the exact same. Same with the tensioning system of the strap. And I would argue that they feel fairly similar as far as, you know, strength goes. This one feels maybe just slightly more stiff than the other one. It does go up to 135 centimeters. So this is a large enough pole to use for the duo mid that I have with the pole extender. So I'm going to be putting these to the test probably throughout this winter. Winter's essentially here. I know that there is snow all up in New Hampshire, so I should be up there next weekend putting these to the test again. But I have used them on one or two hikes already. They did well. So I used one and Anna used the other. She thought it did good too. New England winter, especially White Mountains winter, not very friendly to gear. So we'll put that stuff to the test for sure. So just some other general whatevers about trekking poles and things that I look for. So the strap and the strap tensioning system, not so much anymore just because I don't really use them anymore. I feel like I just prefer just the grip now and I don't really use these. But out of all 4 poles and the strap tensioning systems, I would say the Leki, most comfortable straps, far easiest tensioning system to use too. I also look at the palm grip right here. I would say that the Leki definitely has the best one. Probably the Cascade Mountain Tech ones after that. Pretty close right after that. The Black Diamond one, I would say the worst that I've used. The grip on these, the Leki 2, perfect. This thing is literally like perfect for my hand. And then the Cascade Mountain Tech probably right after that. And the Black Diamond, the carbon cork ones, pretty good too. Another big plus, you got the little extension of the foam here. So the Cascade Mountain Tech, I would say probably has the best one. It's just got those ridges in there that make it easier to grip onto. The Black Diamond one, probably second because it's the only other one that has it. And the Leki one on these anyway does not have it. I do believe on the higher end ones that they might. As far as weight goes, I'm pretty sure the Cascade Mountain Tech are the lightest. I'm pretty sure for both of the versions. I believe the Black Diamond Alpine carbon corks are probably second, and then the Leki, where they are aluminum, are definitely the heaviest. As far as heavy duty and usage, if I were to trust one of these poles completely as far as heavy dutiness goes, I would actually probably go with the Black Diamond. It is carbon fiber, which of course can break, but these things, they just feel substantial. Like every one of my experiences with them, and I've gotten them caught in kind of some weird situations where like, that thing probably should have broke, and they're still kicking. They still work really, really well. As far as sturdiness goes, and I rate sturdiness as far as just jamming them straight to the ground, Black Diamond for sure, followed by Leki, followed by the Cascade Mountain Tech. As far as material, it's carbon fiber woven, regular, like straight carbon fiber. That's a hard one to gauge in my opinion. I don't particularly care either way. I do know that aluminum supposedly easier to kind of fix. Like if it bends, you can just kind of bend it back and it works. And from my understanding, carbon fiber too, in the cold, the substantial cold, actually does weaken. And I may be crazy. That might just be some sort of rumor or something, but that is what I've heard anyway. So I don't particularly have a preference there. Carbon fiber is usually lighter. Aluminum is aluminum. So I don't know, pick one that works for you. As far as flip lock adjustment systems, again, I would not buy twist lock poles. That is my preference. But the Black Diamond, hands down, has the best out of the poles that I'm showing you. The Cascade Mountain Techs, the newest ones, I don't really have enough experience to tell you. The older ones, I never had an issue with at all. And the Leki ones, I have substantial usage with, and they did end up freezing on me. They got stuck, so, but that was also with literal daily use. And the customer service person told me that it was my fault and I should have let the poles dry out. And my response of, I was on the Appalachian Trail, just seemed to be kind of ignored, but they did replace them. Either way, I would call that kind of even, I suppose. I don't know if through substantial use from either this version of the Cascade Mountain Tech or these, if there would have been much of a difference long term anyway, as far as how well the locking mechanisms would hold up. But yeah, that's all I got in regards to that. Height, obviously, so like height adjustments on the poles, obviously get one that works well for you, but do keep in mind, especially if you're using certain tents, that pole size can matter. And in this case, larger can be better. So the Black Diamond, again, I picked up the 130 to 100 centimeter version. In the Cascade Mountain Techs go up to 135 and then a little bit more. And these do work well for my Duo Mid tent. These do not at all, even with the pole extender I have. So these work with the pole extender to get the height perfect for my Duo Mid. These just, they don't work. So as far as the tips go, I've been using these ones literally all since I got back from the Appalachian Trail. These have been my go-to. They don't even look like they've been used, which is pretty cool, I have to admit. Anna has been using the Leki ones. She does go on slightly less hikes, but she did do the long trail. So these poles right here, the Lekis, have been on the entire long trail and they still look great. And they're still working completely functional too. So the Cascade Mountain Tech, of course, these ones are new. So you're not gonna see or shouldn't see much wear and tear there. And then on the older version, they're all holding up pretty well. So again, after substantial use with the Lekis, I did notice that it did break that down, got down to the plastic, but they are pretty easily replaceable. The Leki definitely has the thicker of the tip too, followed by, I would say, the Black Diamond, and then the Cascade Mountain Tech. The older version looks thicker than the newer, but that might just be my eyes playing tricks on me. I think it is. I think they're the same size. As far as baskets, I believe that they're included with all of these, the regular baskets and the snow baskets, and I think the feet too. The feet are essentially useless. So if I were to go on another through hike, which of these would I take? In all honesty, any of the four I would feel comfortable with taking on a through hike at this point. I would probably, if I did go with the Black Diamond again, I would buy the longer version, just in case if I were to use the Duo Mid for that hike. But other than that, I would have no issue taking any of these poles out for a through hike. I think they're all great poles. Each kind of have their pros and cons, but they're all solid poles. And then it just kind of comes down to price. These ones right here probably run you about $40-ish. I believe these, the little upgrade with the woven carbon fiber, are $58, I think, on their website. I don't know if they're cheaper on Amazon or anything. These, the Leki Journeys, I paid $80 for, but you can probably get them even cheaper. I think I paid like full retail price on these, no discount. That's what happens on the trail. You need it, you pay for it. But I literally kind of got 2 pairs of these poles for that price. You know what I mean? With their warranty. The warranty was incredible. So 2 completely broken, unusable poles, and they just were like, yeah, here's a new one. Shipped to my door about a week or whatever later. With these, you can buy replacement parts, but I do not think that they are going to warranty anything for free, like Leki did. So keep that in mind. But they are pretty cheap, and the replacement parts are pretty cheap. And from what I've heard, I have 0 experience with Black Diamond as far as their customer service goes. I have heard terrible things about Black Diamond customer service. Again, no experience, so take this completely with a grain of salt. If you have issues with their products, at least from what I've heard with trekking poles, and you email them, it's essentially like, yeah, sorry, go buy another pair. So this is just what I've read. I've read on the internet. I've also heard from some people on the trail who had issues with theirs, and they were just kind of told, pun intended, go take a hike. So keep that in mind. Maybe your results may vary. If you've had good experiences with Black Diamond's customer service, definitely leave it in the comments. If you've had good experience with any of these poles, leave them in the comments. Maybe there's another pole I didn't mention that you think is awesome. Leave that in the comments. Anyways, I babbled, geez, almost 40 minutes now. God knows how long this video is going to be, but anyways, I hope it was helpful. I hope my experience with the poles are helpful. I don't know if I'll ever do like individual reviews of any of these poles. Maybe I will, but I feel like just kind of talking about all of them is probably more helpful to people than individual reviews of each set for the moment anyway. Maybe I'll probably do a follow-up of the Cascade Mountain Tech ones here, just because again they did send these to me for free. I did pay full price for the first two ones, but they were like, hey, you want to test out the new ones we got? Take a look. They didn't ask me to make a review or anything, but maybe I'll do a follow-up after I beat the hell out of them during the winter. But that's going to do it, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, feel free to drop them down in the comment section. If you liked the video, consider dropping it a like. If you loved it, consider commenting and subscribing to the channel. Plenty more videos to come. So you can follow me on Instagram as well at Chris Goes Outdoors if you care to. Don't feel obligated. Rarely post there now. Social media is pretty lame. And until next time, we'll catch you in the next one. Take care. Thanks for watching.